Hey folks, this is BestInSlot with some Jurassic World Evolution 2 news, but I'm afraid, for the first time ever, it's actually not good news. Those are not words I've ever had to say for Evolution 2, but this is a little disappointing. It's still good, thumbs up overall, but it is disappointing. Try to put the pitchforks away just for a little bit. Let's dig into this and I'll explain what on earth I'm talking about. So this is all based on a community post made by Jens earlier today. He's one of the community managers for Jurassic World Evolution 2. And he said, you'll be able to turn the pattern, this is talking about the dinosaurs, you'll be able to turn the pattern on/off, and you can change the colour of the dinosaur's pattern and base skin, but you won't be able to change the pattern itself. There will be lots of different combinations to choose from though, so you can still put a personal touch on your dinosaurs and reptiles. So this is basically not the system we thought we were getting. You've seen my videos in the past where we heard from the Game Informer article, we'll talk about that in just a second, but we thought we had potential for hundreds of different pattern and colour combinations. Each dinosaur was going to have several different patterns applied to its body, and we could change the colour of said patterns. That's just not the case. Every dinosaur has a base skin without a pattern, and then a pattern overlaid over the top of that you can then toggle on and off, and that pattern will be colour customizable. Now, it is worth mentioning off the bat that let's say, we actually don't know the full number on this, but let's say each dinosaur has 6 base colours and 6 patterns, well, 1 pattern I should say, each with 6 colours. It is already a vast number of combinations, way more than we had in Evolution 1. By default, this is a more customizable, more interesting, more developed system than we got in Evolution 1. The problem is, it's not the system we thought we were going to get, which is much better than the one we're getting. And, we didn't come to this conclusion from absolutely nowhere. There was the Game Informer article which said, the players will have more skins and colours to choose from when creating their dinos. I'm told each dino has roughly a dozen body colours along with 7 different patterns. What people are now taking that to mean is a dozen body colours, as in base skin colours, and then 6 pattern, so let's say a dinosaur has stripes on it, those stripes would have 6 different colours, or you could have an unstriped, or maybe there's 7 different stripe colours and an unstriped, which is still a lot of combinations, but it's not what different patterns sounds like. And we had another post from Jens back in July, the end of July, and he said, you will be able to select from several different patterns per dinosaur species, and that will determine the marking. Once you set the pattern, you can change the colour of the pattern. It literally says, once you've set the pattern, you can change the colour of the pattern. So the colour and the pattern have been established as a different thing. So this does not tie in with that. Those two statements do not go together. And I just want to say this before we carry on. Please do not have a pop at Jens for this. This is probably, I'm 100% sure this is not Jens's fault. I have 2 main theories here. The first is that this was in development, that this was meant to be in the game. At the end of the day, we have 2 separate entities telling us that this was a system, and maybe it got cut because it was too complex, or because there just wasn't enough time to finish all these patterns, because it would have been a lot of work, of course, before the game released. That's actually the optimistic way of viewing this, because it means that maybe this is something we could get down the line. I do think the system is more expansive this time in the way that it could add more patterns in the future in a way that we couldn't really do with the last game. Each pattern and skin colour were kind of folded into each other. It was very limited. This one could be expanded a little bit further. So that's the first guess, that maybe this was meant to be in the game, and since it's now no longer in the game, they've had to cut it. And at the end of the day, Jens is a community manager. He's not, developing the game on hand, even though I'd call him part of the dev team technically, but he's not, making these decisions. He's just communicating what he knows to us, so please don't have a pop at Jens. It's absolutely not his fault. The second option is that there was miscommunication somewhere along the way, that this was never really in the plans, and when they say different patterns, they simply mean different colours, and it's been misinterpreted somewhere down the chain of command, and we've gotten the wrong words, basically. The third option is that they straight up lied to sell the game. I don't want to believe that's the case. I don't believe that's the case, even though, I have become a cynic in my old age, but I don't believe that's the case. I'm leaning towards this being a cut feature. I think having several places talking about it is pretty condemning, but yeah, it sucks. I'm a little disappointed, I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to show you some examples. So for the Allosaurus here, for example, those blue spots that lead down into the stripes, that is the only pattern you'll get. Your Allosaurus will either look like this, or it'll look like this without the blue spots. You could change the base colour, and obviously that base colour is not just a flat colour, it's got lots of different lovely tones into it, and you can change the colour of those stripes to maybe 6 or 7 different options, we don't know yet. But that Allosaurus is never going to have a pattern on it that looks different than that pattern right there, if that makes sense. Funnily enough, I did kind of hint at this a little in a Triceratops analysis a long time ago, I think it was, where we had the same stripes on both dinosaurs, but on one of them the base colour had kind of eaten the outside of the stripes. That maybe should have been a warning sign, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, so that's an example. The Rex, you can see here, we know what this pattern is going to look like. That is a base Rex, no pattern applied, and the pattern looks like that. It's the colour markings around the skull. So it's pretty simple stuff. What this means is you're never going to have a crazy ass looking fully striped Rex, I suppose. For the raptors, for example, you can see that marking around the arms, the legs, the striping down the tail, a little bit by the mouth. Same deal. That's the pattern, so you could have this raptor with it or without it, and you'll be able to choose the colour of that. It is worth emphasising, this is still way more options than we ever had in the past. I do think that is worth keeping in mind. And maybe we were getting ahead of ourselves, imagining all these different beautiful patterns with all these different colours, but at the end of the day, that's what we were told. You can't act on anything other than the information you're told, and that's what we were told, so it's not our fault. I'm glad it just isn't. Yeah, so the other major question I have is that raptor in the back is clearly a tiger raptor from the Lost World. I have no idea how those old skins are going to work, because we've already seen there is a short, or what we believe is a short crested pteranodon in the game as well. So clearly let's call them legacy skins. Clearly the legacy skins and models are in the game, but how they're going to be accessed, if I had to guess, it's like a base skin colour, maybe, and then you probably don't have a pattern to access on top of it. Maybe it just disables the pattern option. You pick this skin colour, you know, Lost World, Tiger Raptor, and you pop one out, and it's always going to look the same, basically. That's about it. I mean, there isn't much else to say. That is, in terms of news, that is the news. I am disappointed, and I think Frontier have messed up here. I don't want to... It's hard for me because I want to appear unbalanced. I don't want to like needlessly have a pop at Frontier, but at the end of the day, you know, I feel like I owe you guys at home a service as well of some description, and this is a mess up. This is a mistake, and this is quite a harmful mistake. I think this is actually quite a big deal, and I think we need a little better communication. I think we need maybe, I don't want to say an apology, but like acknowledgement that this was a mistake and that people have been led to believe something other than what we got in the end. I don't think it'll be a big deal in the long run. I really don't. I think we've got so many different options still. I think it has potential to come back, and I think people will forget about this largely by the time, you know, the game's out and we're playing it. But it's still an error. It's still miscommunication, false advertising to an extent, and I think that needs to be addressed. So I'd like to see that. I'd like to see proper, full-on confirmation. At this point, I think there's no point hiding it. Just tell us, you know, how many base skins colours are we going to get exactly. Tell us how many skin pattern colours are we going to get exactly. Tell us if there's room for this system to be expanded in the future. Frontier are sometimes a little bit nebulous in their marketing, and it stands them in good stead sometimes. It gives them, you know, wider deadlines to play with, less pressure on the devs. That's actually a good thing, in my opinion. In this circumstance, I think we need cold, hard facts, but that's just my personal opinion. Yeah, it is what it is, folks. I don't really have anything else to add. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Reminder, please don't have a pop at Jens for this. You know, he's just community manager doing his very best, and, you know, if there was a decision made, he surely wasn't making those decisions. You know, he's a good guy and doesn't deserve anything negative or untoward towards him. But maybe Frontier do a little bit. Just everything in moderation. We can have a nice, reasonable conversation about this, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah? Or we can just all meet in the middle with pitchforks and see what happens. Either way. Thank you for joining me. Discuss down below. You know, I'm sure people will be disappointed, but it is one small blip in what is a tremendous hype train so far. Sometimes people die when there's blips, but it depends how old you are. I don't know, I'm not getting into this metaphor. Thanks for joining me. Cheers much as always. Bye-bye.
Houston, if you're ready, we'll maneuver. Reaching out.